Dodgson in the Jurassic Park movies was a bit part character at best. He was introduced near the start of the first film, and his only goal was to set up Nedry's later betrayal. Then he was forgotten and never seen again. His biggest contribution to the films was, "Dodgson, we've got Dodgson here." Not so in the novels. Dodgson is a major antagonist in the second novel as he heads to Site B with two other men, King and Basilton, in an attempt to retrieve dinosaur eggs and therefore get the DNA that Nedry had failed to deliver. Along the way, both those men died, and Dodgson himself tries to kill Sarah Harding as he kicks her off a moving boat in an attempt to drown her. That, as it happens, would eventually lead to his own death. As we catch up with the story, Sarah Harding is battered and bruised and hiding near a jeep, and some strange acting Pachycephalosaurs, when she recognises a man trying to climb in the driver's seat. It's Dodgson, the man who tried to kill her earlier on. The two begin to fight, begin to scuffle, and as they're getting into it, the ground begins to shake. The Tyrannosaurus Rex emerges and stomps over to them, able to smell the unmoving pair as they hide under the car, hiding themselves within the mud and gunk building up around them. Dodgson is frozen with fear, trembling, at eye level with the massive dinosaur as it lowers this huge head right down to ground level. Sarah Harding though, no. She has a plan. She begins to push him, slowly but surely, from a stronger position under the car until his panic-stricken body begins to poke out from beneath it, into daylight, into vision of the Rex. Dodgson protests, but Harding pushes harder. Straining and grunting, she forces him out until suddenly he begins to move a little bit quicker. Because his legs are clasped within the jaws of the Rex, he screams, as you would, loud. But he doesn't die, not yet. The Rex lifts him up into the air between her teeth, but never clamps them down around his body, and Harding can still hear him scream as he's carried away into the jungle. Dodgson, for his part, suddenly finds himself falling, tumbling from the mouth of the Rex onto an earthen slope. The scent of decay floods his nostrils, and he detects a noise that scares him to his core, a high-pitched squeaking noise. He clears his dazed head and looks around to find himself in the middle of a Tyrannosaurus nest, mounds of dried earth blocking him in, and 3 infant Tyrannosaurs excitedly approaching him. The parent Rexes are nearby, one resting and the other just watching him, and as Dodgson begins to turn and make a run for it, away from the approaching infants, he feels the weight of its head against his chest. Dodgson topples to the ground. He tries again, the same thing happens. The infants begin to draw closer. Rather than standing, Dodgson begins to claw his way out on all fours, when suddenly he feels a pair of jaws clamp around his leg, and he turns to see a baby Tyrannosaur holding his leg within its teeth. It pauses, then it clamps down. His skin ruptures and his bones shatter. Dodgson screams. He's unable to move, unable to escape, unable to do anything but scream. The infant begins to eat the bleeding flesh on his leg. Another hops up onto his midriff and begins to bite at his waist. The third instead moves up him and in a swift motion bites at his face, ripping into the soft skin of his cheek. Dodgson screams, again as you would. He sees swathes of his own face within the jaws of the nearest infant, his own blood pouring from its mouth. The baby Tyrannosaur swallows the cheek flesh, then darts forward, this time not going for his face. This time it clamps his teeth around Dodgson's neck. This death, whilst clearly way too violent for the PG-13 world of Jurassic Park films, was also clearly the inspiration for Peter Ludlow's death at the end of the Lost World film. And it also ably manages to make Sarah Harding into basically a murderer. It's a really dark turn on the established film. Another fun piece of Jurassic Park history as well to tell your kids. Enjoy! Hey guys and girls, thanks for watching. YouTube has been my full-time job for years now, but the adpocalypse and YouTube's frustrating new monetization system are making it tougher to survive and keep all of my organs. If you want to help keep the channel alive, consider throwing a little pledge at my Patreon page. It's not at all expected, and by just watching this video you've really helped me out. But if you feel like giving a little bit more, or you happen to be a Russian oligarch billionaire and want to support me, you can do so right there. Cheers.